You're listening to Rolling Toe with trucking experts Kevin and Mike Beckett. This is the show where you ask the questions and we give you the diagnosis on how to get the most out of your truck. We'll talk about avoiding wear and tear, knowing your suspension and axles, and how to get more mileage from your tires. We're on the audio road. Let's get rolling.
Wow, that's an awesome introduction.
I know. It's much better than that Blog Talk Radio and then us just making something up.
Yeah, I don't think I'd heard it like that before. I'm impressed.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to buy a bigger hat.
Just because your head's getting bigger.
Yes. Yes.
Is it, the only thing I noticed there that I think is a little bit of a mistake is it tells everyone that we're trucking experts. I don't know that I'm really not a good trucking business.
Well, you know the definition of an expert.
Sure.
He's 50 miles from home and he's carrying a briefcase. That's us.
As long as you got a briefcase.
We're experts. Right. All right. We don't have a preset subject for today. I was going to kind of mention that I was at the GCR Tire Center in Denver training this week. And before that, on Tuesday, I was down in Dallas at a fleet training. And next week, I'm going to be at a fleet in Illinois training.
Yeah.
And 2 weeks ago, I was down in Uvalde, Texas at the Continental General Proving Grounds doing seminars for fleets for Continental. And we've had a lot of good times talking to people about tire wear problems and handling problems. And so that's what we're going to do again tonight.
I guess so. We'll just talk about the things that...
I got an idea. I'm tired of talking about tires. Let's talk about engines.
Engines?
Yeah. What do you know about engines?
What do I know about... This is going to be a short show.
Oh, but we can stack it and rack it with the best of them.
Well, okay. Here's what I know about engines that I think is just really interesting to mention, especially to the audience that we've got.
Yeah.
What I do know about engines is that VW knows how to cheat emissions tests.
Well, there's the old phrase: if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying.
I guess so.
They got caught.
Yeah, they did. I know there's a bunch of people at Cummins and CAT and International all just smacking their heads wondering, why didn't they think of that?
Well, no, or maybe they're smacking their heads and they hope they don't find them out. Oh, geez. The other thing I saw this week about engines was an EPA official announced that the next round of emission changes will not cause any problems with your trucks.
What? What?
What?
I find that not what? No.
And she said something about having a bridge out in San Francisco she wanted to sell.
So she is selling us a bridge and the emissions.
Yeah. You buy one, you buy the other. No problem.
Right. Okay.
All right, folks. Well, if you have any questions or comments, and it can be about anything, we really don't care because we'll lie about anything. Push 1 on your telephone. That'll put you in the question and answer queue.
Don't ask Mike to sing.
I could sing. If they don't push the button, I will sing. Don't push it twice. If you push it twice, you erase yourself. And then
you can push it twice. But if you do push it twice, understand what the consequences are. You lose place in the universe. We won't.
They're gone. It's not just here. I mean, the truck will be no driver. You're gone.
Yeah.
It's getting too deep, isn't it?
Yeah, a little deep.
All right.
Yeah, we're not trucking experts anymore.
All right. Yeah. Okay. Oh, and by the way, folks, at 9:00 tonight, the super lunar eclipse starts. Here in Des Moines, Iowa, the weather is beautiful. It's balmy. There's no clouds. And so at 9:00 tonight, our time, about an hour from now, we're cutting off right away. Whether you're standing in line or not, we're cutting off because I want to go watch the lunar eclipse.
He's got 2 chairs set up in front of the house.
Yep.
You go sit in them.
The beer cooler's all set.
Yeah.
The old lady knows that when the lunar eclipse happens, I get a little crazy. Oh, never mind. We'll leave that alone.
It's something that happens apparently once every 18 years.
Yeah, the same thing. I get lucky once every 18 years.
Yeah, that's it. You're also wrong once every 18 years. These are things that happen.
Well, I know. I thought I was right once every 18 years.
Well, our listeners hope that you're only wrong.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. All right. Very good.
But according to Dottie, maybe.
Well, after 49 years with her, she says I was right twice.
Twice. Okay, there you go.
The third one's coming up.
It's coming. Yeah.
All right. We got a couple of questions up there. Let's try and see if we can guess where they're calling from.
Okay, well, I'm not sure about this one. It's 704.
704, North Carolina.
North Carolina. I'll go with
North. I know that one.
You know one.
North Carolina. Let's try this.
All right.
Hello.
Hello, it's L.A. from Charlotte, which makes me a Charlatan.
There you go. Okay. And how are you doing today?
Well, I want to talk about my first favorite subject, but in a different category.
Okay.
Let's talk about wine. Not the kind you drink,
Wine.
the kind you get from tires.
Oh, road noise.
Okay.
Yes. I have 710s on the rear
Mm-hmm.
and 53s on the front.
Mm-hmm.
And the 710s on the rear have been there about 5 months.
Mm-hmm.
In the beginning, they were soft and mushy till they took hold.
Right.
Yep.
Now they're whining, and so are the
Yes.
front tire. And I've never had that before in 22 years of driving
Okay. Now, how do you know the front ones are whining?
because it's louder.
Because it's louder. Okay, let's talk about the rear ones first. The reason we tend to get a whiny road noise out of drive tires is that they develop heel and toe wear. So if you lay your hand flat on your drive tire and slide it around the tire toward the front of the truck, it will tend to feel smooth. And if you slide it toward the back of the truck, it'll feel sharp on each one of the lugs. Now, this heel and toe is a product of the engine torque twisting the rubber as it goes through the footprint and wearing off the back half of the lugs. We step on the brake. That same edge of the lug that is flipping coming out of the footprint is also the edge that tries to stop the truck. So both of them accelerate the heel and toe wear. If you want to quiet the tire down, you need to X rotate them so that they're running in the opposite direction. It should eventually flatten back out and stop whining.
Now, the X rotate, so
Left front, right
the
rear.
shiny side is on the out, and the dirty side is on the in.
Yeah, leave it that way. Just take both tires and rims from the left front and put them on the right. The outside tire stays on the outside.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay, reversing it. That's what we're doing.
Yeah, just X them. Okay? They'll run in the opposite direction. Now, the other reason you X rotate is that the rear drive axle tends to wear 25% faster than the front drive axle.
I've been
And by
keeping
moving, go ahead.
I was going to say, I'll keep an eye on that because I'll follow your show, and I have my depth gauge right next to my air gauge, which is right beside my driver's seat when I open the door. That's part of the, when you got to buy your own tires,
Yeah.
my God, are they expensive.
Do everything you can.
Car for that money.
Okay. Now, the steer tires might also be developing a little heel and toe because of the brake application. Okay? And so if you rotate, and I wouldn't do the fronts first, I would just do the rears because I think the majority of your whine is coming out of the rear tires. That's where we normally hear it from. And if that solves the whining problem, then I would only rotate the steers when the left front is 2/30 seconds more worn than the right front. Then it's time to rotate them. But if you rotate your drives and you solve 9% of the whine and 10% still there, okay, then rotate the steers and see if you get rid of the rest of it.
Because I checked out your books. I haven't had a chance to read them yet. And on my other truck, I took 22.5s off of this one, put 24.5s on because of the economic factor as far as that trying to prolong putting out all that money for tires. And I noticed with 283s that came off this truck on the outside edge of each tire, there's a little bit of wear that would look like you got too far in the rubber, you start to see the cloth.
Yes.
And I don't understand. I haven't checked the book yet, but it's even on both tires on the outside, not quite to the edge.
Right. What this normally is about the width of your index finger on the outside shoulder of both front tires. Is that correct?
Are you looking at the tires? But you're absolutely right.
I've seen a million of them. Okay. Now, the difficulty with the 283 and with other regional tires that have a solid outside shoulder. Now, you notice if you look at the Michelin XZA or the Goodyear 399 or 395, the outside of the tire has a decoupler, a little piece of rubber about 1/4 to 3/8 of an inch wide. Okay?
Right.
And then you have the main rib. If you cut a tire in half and you looked at the steel belts that are inside there, the steel belts do not go all the way to the shoulder of the tire. So that bit of rubber that's outside the steel belt compresses more than the rubber that's over the steel belt. And because it compresses more, you finger width wear all the way around the tire on both shoulders on both steer tires.
So would the option to be inflate or deflate?
No, inflation's not the issue here. It's that tire with a solid is designed to be a regional tire doing a lot of high scrub turning. And if you put a decoupler groove on it, it'll rip the decoupler off because you're turning so much.
Right.
Okay?
That's why they make it a solid rib.
Yeah, solid shoulder tire is designed for that scrubbing, turning, bumping against curbs and shit like that a highway tire can do.
So if you put that tire in a highway application, you just end up with this wear.
Yes.
But it doesn't eat up the entire rib, so you don't have to take the tire off, but it doesn't look right.
It doesn't shorten the life of the tire at all. It doesn't hurt anything. Now, I will tell you, if you have a loose wheel bearing or something, that finger width will start there, and then it'll just eat right into the ribs because there's nothing protecting and stopping that wear from coming in, which is what the decoupler does.
So the decoupler is sort of like burning a line of trees to stop a forest.
Yeah, it's a fire stop, yeah.
So the wheel bearing would have to be loose on both sides, though, right?
No, again, the wear occurs.
No, the finger width has nothing to do with bearings, has nothing to do with inflation, simply has to do with the fact that tire is being run in a line haul application when it's really designed to be in a turning operation.
But if you had a loose wheel bearing.
Yeah, if you had a loose wheel bearing, it would not only start as a finger width, but then it would eat its way in.
And destroy the entire rib.
Can I close with a quick joke?
Sure, we like jokes.
Man walks at the bar and he falls in love with this woman. He says he wants to marry her. She says, well, I've been married 3 times before and I'm still a virgin. Well, how can that be? You know it?
No, go ahead. Keep going.
He says, she says, my first husband was a painter. And all he wanted to do was paint it. And my second husband was a gynecologist, and all he wanted to do was examine it. So what about your third husband? She says, he was a chef.
Ooh, never mind.
All right, you guys have a good day.
You have a good one. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye.
Okay, all right. That was North Carolina. North Carolina, yes. I remembered that one.
All right.
Okay, that's 704, right?
Right.
Cool.
That's what I'm going to know.
You're going to know this one?
Yep.
Okay.
It is, it's 360.
360.
It's Washington.
You think it's Washington?
I know it's Washington.
You know it's Washington?
Yeah.
Can I make a guess then?
Go ahead.
Jamaica.
Okay.
Hello, Jamaica. Jamaica?
I'm Jerry out of Vancouver, Washington.
Vancouver. Kevin said he knew it was Vancouver or Washington.
Yep.
See? He's a smart ass.
You're on the right side of the country anyway.
There you go. What's up?
Hey, I'm running super singles. I need a little bit of advice. That's a lot of advice on it.
Okay.
I'm running the Michelin 455s. So I got 2 tractors. I drive one in California, run the other one around Vancouver. And
wait, how do you do that? I don't know. Wait. You got 2 tractors. You run one in California.
Once it's in the driveway, The other one sits in California when I go to California.
You know, you can save a lot of money if you only had one of them.
Yeah, but I can't afford to drive the California truck. My maintenance is that much more on it.
I see. Okay. All right. Okay, so you got wide base tires.
Yeah, I'm running wide base tires, and I've got 3 different versions from talking to the Michelin people. And the company that I work with, they used to run, they run the 445s, and they used to run 115 PSI in their super singles, and they cut it back to 100. I talked to a lady in Kansas from Michelin, and she told me to drop them back to 85. Now I'm sitting here. I've been told to run them all the way up to 125, but I run tanker, so I'm loaded 50% of the time. I'm empty 50% of the time. So the problem happened is I'm getting a lot of heel toe wear on the California tractor, especially on the inside. Okay. But on the truck that I run in Washington to in Oregon, which I pull Mount Hood and everything on, I'm not getting as much heel toe wear on that tractor at all. And they're both basically the same trucks. One's a 98 Century and the other one's a 2012 Cascadia. Okay, all right. You just heard us describe what causes heel and toe wear, right? Yes, I did. Okay. Inflation can affect that a little bit, but usually not a great. It's simply a function of horsepower and tread design. Now, are both of these trucks with the same horsepower? Yeah, they're both 500, roughly about 530 horsepower, about 450 on the ground. One to DD15, the other one to 60 series. Same tires, different rear end ratios, but okay. Now the second thing is the one that's cupping on the inside close to the frame. That either is axle flex or loose wheel bearings. Okay, that one's got the Meritor with the spacers in it that have been torqued down. The other one, I pulled the spacers out, threw them away, and I just preload them. Okay, that's fine. But we need to know which drive axle housing is in them and what rims are on them. Are you running 2-inch offset rims or 0 offsets? 0 offset Alcoa wheels on the blue one, the local truck. I'm running 390 axle ratio with Eaton's, and on the new one, I think I'm running the new Detroit axles on the back of it. Okay. Now, the Eaton axle, you would have to look up the line sheet on what differential housing you got, whether you got a 404 or 405 housing. Okay? Yeah, the 404 is a 9.5 millimeter housing, and you really need 0 offset rims on that one. The 405 is an 11 millimeter housing, which has less axle flex. All right? Right. Now, the Alliance axle, right on top of the diff pumpkin, you can look at it, and it'll be stamped right on it, 9.5 or 11. So you can see exactly which one you got. Okay? Right. The 9.5 does have more flex, and we get more inside edge wear with it. Now, did you say both of these trucks are running 0 offset rims? Right. Okay, that's good. That's a step there. I was told not to run 2-inch offsets by Freightliner. They said that they wouldn't warranty the trucks. I agree, and it's absolutely a bad thing to run 2-inch offsets. So the fact that you got zeros is good. Okay, the fact that you're getting inside cupping tells me we may either have a loose wheel bearing or got the wrong drive axle housing. Because I want that 11 millimeter housing. I have a lot less problems with that one. Right, because this heel toe issue shouldn't be occurring as a result of braking or horsepower only on one side of the tire. Yeah, the inside edge means something else is going on there. Okay? Right. All right. Now, okay, so that's why the one with the Eaton I don't have the problem with, and that's why the one with the Alliance I'm having the problem. Could very well be. Housing. Could be the differences in housings, yes. Okay. And normally when you order a truck, unless you order it specifically with the 11, they typically ship them with the 9.5. Right. Okay? Mm-hmm. I'm going to bet it's the 9.5, yeah. Right. Now, as far as what inflation you should run, I've seen both. I've seen low, I've seen high, and some guys who are running 100
100 say they do good, and the majority of the people that I talk to that are getting good results are running higher inflations. They're running 120 and 125.
Right. Okay.
Now, another question. Yes, even being empty 50% of the time. Yes, it's still you're better off. Now, the other question I got on these two trucks is: do both of them have engine brakes on them?
Yes.
Okay. Is it? And you? I was facetiously saying you're driving one truck and then parking and driving the other truck. You, in fact, have two different drivers, right?
No. That's the old one got 1.5 million miles on it. It runs every day. The new one doesn't have any miles on it, and it runs when it wants to.
I see. So you do actually drive both of the trucks.
So you've got one for California work and one for not.
Okay. The question I was having is there a chance that they're driven differently? If you're driving both of them, then they're driven the same.
There's a little different because the California tractor has the Eaton automatic paddle shift in it. So the local tractor, I have a 10-speed in it. I use the Jake a lot more on the 10-speed than I do on the automatic.
Okay.
So I should have more heel toe wear on the one that has no heel toe wear than I do on the other one.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
Okay. Why is that?
It's just what I've been observing of the automatic shift transmissions is that they tend to be just a little harder on tires than the ones where the guy is shifting and he's careful about what he's doing it.
That's true.
The truck doesn't care. The computer says you need another gear, it takes another gear.
Right. Whenever, and whatever,
Yeah.
Okay.
So, that, as another example of this, now this is not drive tires, this is steers now, but I had two fleets that I maintained here in Iowa, and they both were refrigerated haulers, and one of them had 80 trucks, and we were aligning his trucks, and he was getting a consistent, and this was a lot of time ago, this was back in the early 90s, and at that time, with the best Michelin tire available, we were getting 125 to 135,000 miles on steers and thought it was fabulous.
Right.
But he had three trucks in his fleet that he couldn't get past 90,000 miles on. We were aligning them like everybody else. They were running the same routes as everybody else. They couldn't get any better. I finally learned that his problem was those three trucks had 9-speed transmissions and the other had 13. And when he swapped out the 9-speeds and put 13s in, the mileage came up, matched everybody else.
Okay, why now? Because
those on steer
each split. That's on steer tires.
The theory that I've got is that the lowest gear in the 9-speed was faster than the lowest gear in the 13, and they were going faster in parking lots.
Yeah, but the average guy now on a 13 is going to start in second or third, and on a 9-speed he's going to start in the second.
I don't know anything about that. That's just the theory I came up with. All I know is that when we changed when he changed the transmissions to 13s in those, their fuel mileage improved and the tire life improved.
Okay, but now, because the 9-speed would basically be a 13 without the splitter on it. So modern transmission would be the same gear ratios and same speeds, correct?
I don't know. I'm not a transmission guy. I'm a tire guy.
Yeah. Okay, going back, one other question then. I run XEAs up front. I run 22.5 with the extra 2 plies, and I run 13.2, and I run 120 to 122 PSI in them. Now, the decoupler groove every so often just starts to wear real fast where the rest of the tire doesn't. Why is that?
Yes. And its job is to do that. If something comes up and starts buffing the edge of the tire, instead of that buffing damage going into the main rib and shortening the life of the tire, the decoupler takes the abuse and just wears, and it doesn't bother anything else. That's their job.
Okay, so it is supposed to wear faster than the rest of the tire.
If anything's going to wear faster, we want them doing it.
Yep.
Right. Oh, okay.
122 to me is the low end of the recommended inflation. I would be running those tires more along 125 to 130.
But Michelin on the side of the tire says 120.
And the 120 specified on the side of the tire is the minimum pressure to carry the load.
Oh,
There's nothing on there that says maximum pressure. It says max load, 6,600 pounds at 120 psi, which means you have to have 120 to carry that load. Okay?
Oh, okay.
Now you're driving down the road and you've got 13.2 on that front axle, right?
Right.
And then you step on the brakes. How much load's on the front axle now?
Let's see, my load transfers, because it's liquid, so I'm probably, 15, 16, 17,000 pounds up front?
You need more air pressure.
Right.
Okay. You're right, because originally when I changed over to the plies, they told me to run 105. My tire went to crap in 70,000 miles, so I pumped them up to 120, and they're wearing perfect now.
Yep, and if you run to 125, 130, you may not even lose those decouplers.
Ah, okay, that's good. So, but now, the minute you start running more pressure, okay, do you not wear out the center of the tire?
Well, did you ever run duals?
Yes. Yeah, I switched over to super singles 2 years ago.
Okay, good. Now, let's look at a pair of duals. What pressure did you run in your duals?
I think I ran 100 PSI on the duals.
And that's what most everybody does. Now, if you look at that axle fully loaded, can you tell me how much weight can be on your drive axles fully loaded?
No, I couldn't tell you by looking at the tires, no.
No, not looking at the tires. The legal scale weight you can run across those axles.
Right. Yeah, I'm running 34,000.
Correct. So each axle's got 17,000 on it, right?
Correct.
And there's 4 tires on the axle. You divide 4 into 17,000. You're going to find each one of those dual wheels is carrying 4,250 pounds of load, fully loaded max load, right?
Right.
If you look at a load and inflation, do you want to guess what the minimum recommended inflation for those tires are carrying that much weight?
Yeah, probably about 90 pounds.
75.
70. Ah, okay.
75 is the minimum recommended inflation for that tire carrying 4,250.
Right. 33% above that.
Yeah, you're running 33% overinflated on your duals. Did they wear out in the middle?
No, that's why I dropped them down to 100 pounds, because they didn't.
No. I'm talking about the duals.
Yeah. No, that's
the minimum.
Yeah. No, they didn't minimum, work. They ran beautiful right across. Yeah, at 100 PSI.
Which means you can run 33% overinflated on a commercial truck tire and not wear out the middle of the tire, right?
Right. Correct.
So you got the same thing on your front. The minimum inflation on the front is 110 or 120 on a 16 ply tire. So running 125/30 is not going to hurt it.
Yeah, but
correct. Okay. Why is it when I go into truck stops? Go on.
Okay, and so, the inflation battle is underinflation causes something like 4 times as much wear per pound you're off than overinflation does.
Correct.
So always try to keep more air in than less.
Okay, yeah. Because, I got tire monitors on the tires, because super singles, you can't afford to run that thing low. You lose the tire at $1,200 a pop. You can't afford to. Okay, when I'm going into truck stops, I see a lot of drive tires with the centers all worn out, and I'm seeing a lot of that with super singles. Why is that?
A lot of
it running that. Go on.
If you have a wide base tire and you run too low of an air, the air is not pushing the center of the tire down on the ground. That's what pushes the tire down on the ground.
Right.
So if you run a wide base tire underinflated, the center buckles up and you wear the middle off.
Yeah, underinflation is normally what causes tire wear.
Yeah.
So I've had it wrong all these years. I figured the overinflation caused all the problems.
Yes, and that's the myth.
And don't feel bad. You wouldn't believe the people believe that. People that have worked for Firestone, Bridgestone, Continental,
Goodyear. We do training programs for their field reps, and this is one of the big discussions we always have. Are you better off overinflated or underinflated? And what does that pressure on the side of the tire mean? And the myth is it's the maximum pressure, and it's not.
Yeah, their own books tell them what to do, and they're still getting it wrong.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
And then I'm lucky that, I've learned a whole bunch on the tire. In other words, I should bump up my super singles up to 125 and run my steering 125, 130.
Yes.
Yep. Okay. Changing the subject a little bit on wheel bearings. When I'm torquing the wheel bearing in, I put it up front, and I go read all the books. They say, hey, take it up, torque it up to 200 psi, 200 pounds, 3 times, and then back it off 1 turn, torque it up. Now, I can if I did it 5 times, every time it's going to give me another couple pounds, another 1/3 of a ton. The preload. Do I stop? Okay, go on.
The preload doesn't bother me. If you want to spin it up and instead of using a torque wrench, use a great big breaker bar and spin that wheel and snug it down until you can feel the tire starting to slow down, you've preset it, and that's all I care about. Then back it off 1 turn. Now, what I really care about is what you do on the final setting. So tell me what you did when you do the final setting on your bearings.
I normally take it up to 100 pounds.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I'll turn the wheel 1 turn, give it another 100 pounds, do that 3 times, and I turn it off. I run the big nuts, the one with the
the Pro Torque. That's fine.
Yeah, it's Pro Torque, and then I turn that whatever the little kit on it is 1 turn. 1/4 turn or 1/3.
You're backing it off 1/4 to 1/3 of a turn and locking it up. Is that correct?
Right. That's correct.
You just left your bearings loose, and that's why you're cupping your tires.
Okay.
The bearing, do you use a dial indicator when you're all done with that to see if you're between 1 and 5 thousandths in play?
Basically, I tried that, but I can't move the tire enough because of wheel seal and everything else to ever figure out what it is.
You're exactly right. But let me tell you what happens with the thread pitch that's on a Meritor or an Alliance axle from Freightliner. They have a 12 thread pitch on that nut.
Right.
Okay. On a 12 thread pitch, if you back the nut off 1/4 turn, you just backed off 21 thousandths.
Whoa.
On a Dana axle, it has 18 thread pitch. And if you back off 1/4 turn, you just backed off 14 thousandths.
Okay.
There is no way you correctly adjusted that bearing if you backed off 1/4 turn.
All right. Okay, but that's what all the books tell me. When I look at the Pro Torque, that's exactly what they tell me.
Yes, but the last sentence is you're supposed to put a dial indicator on it and make sure you 1 to 5 thousandths.
Right.
But nobody does that.
Yeah, because every time I tried it, I can't get that wheel to move. I don't have the power to move that hub back and forth 5,000.
Because the original instructions were that it was supposed to be just the hub, not the drum, rims, and tires.
Right.
And everybody does it with the wheels on, right?
Right. Right.
Okay, so now the question is, how can I reasonably adjust that bearing and be sure that I get it right, okay? We learned years ago how to adjust it with a torque setting, and depending on how much weight is hanging on the bearing at the time we're adjusting it, have different torque settings we set it to, okay?
Right. Okay.
All right. So if you have, for example, a super single without a sleeve in it, and you have a single nut, not a double nut,
right?
I would jack it up. I'd take the axle shaft out of it. I'd take the clipper out of it. I'd set my torque wrench at 60 foot-pounds, and simply tighten it up to 60 and leave it. It'll be fine.
Oh, okay.
On a steer axle with a single tire, with a narrower tire, I would tighten it to 50 foot-pounds and leave it. It'll be fine.
So
now what you're doing then is you're pushing those 2 tapered bearings in together, and you're lifting and centering the weight that's hanging on the bearing. You're not preloading anything. You're just picking weight.
Right.
Now, if I had an empty hub, no drum, no rims, no tires, I would simply tighten it to 35 foot-pounds and leave it.
Okay.
Because I got a lot less weight.
Now, the important thing to remember, of course, is in any case, no matter what you do, whether you back it off 1/4 turn or left it torque up, whatever's going to happen, the bearing is going to get looser over time. It's not going to get tighter.
And it's going to get looser the minute it warms up. The minute it warms up, the race moves away from the bearing and it gets looser.
Right. And there is a company or two. I think I've seen 2 different devices that were used to determine end play exactly by moving the hub in and out.
Yeah, one was mechanical and one was air pneumatic operated.
And so that you could get that end play measurement where you can't seem to find it on your own with your own hands.
Right. Is that all making sense to you?
Yeah, well, like you said, that was the biggest confusion. Every so often I put the wheel bearings on, and 3 weeks later I lose the wheel seal. Take everything apart, throw a new set of shoes on, put a new wheel seal in, tighten it up, and then so my problem is I'm just running everything too loose. So that could be my problem with my super singles in the back.
All right, let me give you the other problems. Let me give you the other problems that will show up in a limb if the bearing's too loose. First, you'll have that cupping on the inside edge close to the frame. Second, you can have grease seal problems. Third, if you pull the brake drum off, the top brake shoe will be worn on the inside edge and the bottom brake shoe on the outside edge. Okay?
Okay, I don't have that. But yeah, go on.
Next, we can have intermittent ABS problems.
Right.
And the last one is when you're driving on a smooth road at a sustained speed and the bearings are loose in the rear, up through the seat and the feet, you'll feel a shake and then it stops, and a shake and then it stops, and a shake and then it stops.
Yep, got that.
Bearings are loose. Tighten up the bearings, it'll go away.
Okay, yeah, that one that I have that problem, and I got the collars in the Meritor, the Conmetco collars. I'm going to take those out and rework everything, and that's yourself. Okay, is it worthwhile balancing a super single or a steering? Well, Michelin, I don't even balance my XDA up front. I've never had a need to. But what about the super singles? Is it worth balancing them?
In my opinion, every tire on your vehicle should be balanced. And the tests we have done in the past is when we balance them, we average between 15 and 20% more life than when we don't balance them.
And we prefer a dynamic balancer of some kind.
Yeah, the shit that goes in the tire that spins up, or the hula hoop rings you bolt on, the Centromatics, something along those lines, we like a balance.
Because the tire, although it looks like it's wearing nice and evenly, there's always some small difference in the way it wears through its life.
Now, let me ask you a question. Do you own a pickup truck?
What's that again?
Do you own a pickup truck?
Yes, I do.
Do you balance the rear tires on it?
Yeah, I balance everything all the way around.
And why?
You got to make it shake, shimmies, and rolls.
I bet you if you balance your truck tires, you're going to have vibrations than you're feeling right now. You think it's just normal, but it ain't.
Yeah. Well, see, what I did with when I run Bridgestone, I have to balance everything. So I went from Bridgestone, I went to the Michelin, and I run the XDA 3 Plus. And every time we go to balance them, they come out perfect. So I don't even balance the steering.
Well, that's brand new. Do you think tires wear uniformly all the way around their circumference through their whole life?
No.
Now, Michelins are better than most.
Yeah, I agree. Michelin's brand new are better than most, but that doesn't mean the drum's perfectly balanced, and that doesn't mean through its entire life it's going to stay perfectly round and uniform. You already told me your decouplers start wearing a little bit. Well, that means you're out of balance now.
Okay. So now with balancing, you recommend that balancing them on the truck or taking them off?
I prefer the stuff you either throw in the tire or you buy the hula hoop rings from Centromatic.
Yeah, any kind of dynamic balancer, because balancing it static at one moment only balances it that day. As we know, every 10, 20,000 miles, we know we're seeing a different amount of wear somewhere on the tire. So using a dynamic balancer is definitely best.
Okay, yeah, you pick up a rock in a tire and it's out of balance already. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Okay,
and so it compensates for it.
Yeah. On the local tractor, I run Centromatic balancers up front on that thing. So I should put them all the way around on both trucks, is what you're telling me.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, those work.
Perfect. Okay, I'm running out of questions then. Thank you very much. You know, you're going to get me in all kinds of trouble because I'm going to tell these guys are full of crap at the truck stop, and then they're going to get pissed at me again.
That's all right. They can get pissed at you.
Wait till you get our bill.
Yeah.
Hey, you got to come up to Vancouver if you want to get paid. How's that sound?
No, you told me you were in Jamaica. I'm in the middle of Jamaica.
We'll send it to you.
We'll tell me where you are. I'll meet you there.
All right, buddy. You have a good day.
Thank you very much. You too.
All right, bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
We covered a lot of stuff, man.
That was a lot of questions.
We should have charged him double.
we got 3 more here.
Okay, let's go. Let's go. What do we got?
Got them 479.
479?
That's totally out. I don't know.
Tennessee. That's got to be Russia or someplace.
Russia. Okay, you're Russia. I'm Tennessee.
Tennessee. Okay. All right. 479.
Tennessee's close. It's Arkansas.
Arkansas. You're down there with my buddy Claudio Garcia watching them Ridgeback Hogs or whatever they call them down there. Razorbacks. That's it. Okay. Cool. What's going on?
I was going to tell you about an experience I had. I was kind of preaching what I've learned from you guys at Love's truck stop in Kansas several weeks ago. And the tire shop guys were nice enough to actually not really argue with me and listen to me. And the supervisor of the tire shop I was telling him about how the 120 on the side of my Michelin tire is actually not a maximum pressure. It's a minimum pressure, correct?
Right.
For the load.
So he looks up on the computer, just like I did on my phone. He looks up the technical bulletin for Michelin. And on that technical bulletin, if you look at it, Michelin has 2 different things. They'll say, they'll have a description of everything that's on the side of the tire. And guess what they say on there? They say that's maximum pressure. On that bulletin, they say it's a maximum pressure.
And on their charts, they have a specific. Yeah.
Also, I said, well, let's go to the inflation chart. It also on the Michelin says that's the maximum inflation for that weight. And
no, it doesn't. No, wait. No, it doesn't. I read the chart. And I was with a Michelin guy, and he says, see right here, at the end of the chart, it says maximum load and inflation for this tire. Is that what you read?
No, I actually read it, and it says the maximum pressure at that load. I went to the Bridgestone technical bulletin, and it says this is the minimum pressure for that load.
Right.
So Bridgestone says it's minimum, but Michelin, both on the tire inflation and on the tire description on the side, says it's the maximum. And so
it doesn't say maximum pressure on the side of the tire. Not on any Michelin tire I've ever read.
I'm talking about on the bulletin.
On the bulletin.
Online, if you go online and look at the Michelin bulletin, it'll say maximum on the description of the tire where it points to where it says 120. It'll have a description of what that means. And it says
I want to look that up. Yeah,
okay,
that sounds something I want to look up. Yeah.
Also on the Michelin inflation chart, it also says the same thing. So maybe since you work with these guys, you can get them to correct it. Because
I don't work with Michelin.
Oh, you don't?
I don't work with Michelin. No, Michelin won't even talk to me.
Yeah.
No, I need to read that bulletin because I've got a Michelin inflation chart that I use. I got it offline, and I read the load and inflation chart, and it showed all of the loads up on this XZA3, and in the last column, it said maximum load and inflation. Those were the exact words that it said in the chart that I read. Okay?
Yeah, the latest chart I looked at online says maximum load with a maximum inflation, and I was so frustrated. I'm like. Yeah. And I was so frustrated. I'm like, you know what? You're right. That's what it says. But trust me. And then I went to Bridgestone. Then I went to the Bridgestone, and they actually say, just like you preached, these are minimum pressures.
Well, if Michelin wants to preach that that's the maximum pressure, then I'm perfectly good with that. We'll leave theirs at 20, and we'll see what their tire does.
Yeah, that's the problem. We don't really want to see their tires wear like that. I love seeing Michelin tires wear out at 225.
Yeah, but wait a minute. I get paid by Bridgestone. I get paid by Continental. I get paid by Goodyear. Michelin doesn't pay me anything.
That's true.
Let their tires go. I don't care.
I understand. I got another question for you, Mike and Kevin, and that is your show, like on tonight, when does it come on the audio road or on the blog on Let's Truck? I noticed that it might be a couple weeks before. I'm not sure all your shows recorded on Sunday night are showing up on the blog.
No, they're not. It's usually 2 to 3 weeks later before the post-production company finishes it and releases it.
Right.
And we never know when it's going to happen.
I think they cut out all the dirty jokes.
Oh, and eventually all the shows will come on?
Yes. I think we've got 26 or 27 on right now.
25 is what I saw a couple days ago, but
well, I just signed in tonight to look at it, and they were talking about 26 and 20. Now wait a minute, that was on iTunes, iPodcasts on my phone. That's where I look.
Oh, I see. Yeah, I don't go to the iPod. I do the other one.
Well, I don't see why they would release them in one place and not the other. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's hard,
I'll check iTunes.
It's something that we're not really in control of that.
Yeah, my phone has an iPodcast, and that's what I looked at earlier today, and 26 and 27 were on there.
Okay, I'll check that out. Well, I just want to share that experience with you, and I want to thank you for everything that you guys do.
You're welcome, and we'll keep trying. Maybe I can get the Michelin guys to listen.
Maybe.
Maybe.
They do know everything.
I did talk to a fleet owner that runs about 25 trucks with FedEx Ground, and he was saying he's got a lot of Michelins, but he was really surprised at the super singles on one of the Yokohamas how well it's wearing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you'll keep the inflation, they tend to do pretty good on the Oaks.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks again, guys.
Not a problem, buddy. You have a good day.
Thank you.
See you in Jamaica.
All righty. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right.
We didn't ask where he was from.
It
was Arkansas. That's right. He was a Ridge Runner.
Yes.
Okay. Cool.
Razorback.
I don't know, something like that. I don't know. I don't know. How long have we been doing this?
20 years or so.
No. The time.
We've got 12 minutes left.
12 minutes. Okay, we got more callers. Let's get somebody.
Yep. 716.
I don't want to talk to anyone from 716. I don't like that area code.
I don't like that. Not a very good area.
It's a bad number. I tried that number on the lottery and I lost. 716, huh?
Yeah.
Ohio.
Oh, I'll go with California.
California. All right. Hello, 716.
No. It's the place of the team that just annihilated the Dolphins today.
Ooh. Who played the Dolphins? I don't know. I didn't watch football.
I was
watching my Buffalo. Oh, he's a New Yorker. Okay.
Well, I'm in Texas right now, but you know.
Yeah, but I have to drive through Ohio to get to New York, so that should count.
It's the same thing.
Same thing.
It's your degrees of separation. There you go.
There you go. That's it. What's up?
So you brought up one question that I didn't even have, but the thing I called in about was I've got a front end vibration. It just kind of it shakes it. I feel it in the steering wheel from about. I can feel it as low as 45, and after about 55, getting towards 60, it tapers off.
Yeah, you're towed out.
Probably.
Towed out?
I need to qualify this a little bit. Do you feel it as you accelerate up through the speed range and then it clears up? And then do you feel it again when you come down, or is there nothing as you decelerate?
Decelerating, and I can feel it. I'm going through 60. It's getting pretty bad through 55. It really gets bad around 55.
And then it quits at 45.
It continues whether I'm accelerating or decelerating.
Okay, so both ways. All right. How many miles are on your truck?
288,946.
All right. When you grease the truck, or do you pay somebody else to grease it?
It's a company truck. It was just greased a little bit ago.
And I'd be willing to bet they don't jack it up when they grease it.
They did not. Kingpins.
Yes. It's either the thrust bearing is going bad because it's not getting properly greased, it's built up moisture and it's turning into rust, or you've got a bad spot on the kingpin and the tires are hanging up. Now, between 45 and 60 miles an hour, the toe in the front of your truck changes scrub position to a spin position as the wheels turn into a gyroscope. And if it can't transition smoothly through that toe change, you'll get a shudder in that speed range blowing up and then going down. So you got kingpin problem.
Yep. Beautiful. Good to know. Where's a good place to get something like that done? When it comes time to get it done again.
Well, if it's a company truck, they're going to tell you where you're going to have a repair done, right?
They give you an option in places.
Okay, all right. Now, the first thing I would do if this was my truck, I would jack it up. I would have somebody grease it. And there's a right way to grease and a wrong way to grease. And the way I was taught to grease is you put a piece of cardboard underneath that kingpin, and you pump grease in until all the dirty, nasty, wet, sloggy-looking grease comes out and fresh grease starting out. Most people just pump a little grease in there and leave all the crap in there. Okay? Then once I've got new grease in it, I would set the truck down on its wheels, and I would turn the wheels back and forth to work that new grease in, and I would jack it up and I'd put a little more grease in, because this one needs some work. Now, it's possible that if you over-grease it and work all the crap out of it, it may clear up and you may be okay. If it doesn't clear up, then somebody has to replace the kingpins.
Oh, that's a fun job.
Yep. 8 hours, $1,500, $2,000. Yep.
Ow. Okay, I'd rather not think about that. I'll go ahead and fucking work that out.
I would try and grease it first before I spend $2,000 on kingpins.
Sure, but I mean, think about how much the tires are now.
First,
right?
Yeah. Which
there's
brings up
the job done. Fortunately, from the company's perspective,
the tires do wear okay. I mean, I got them up to.
Yeah, this is not a tire problem. This is a vibration problem.
Right. I thought there was it was a balance problem at first.
Nope, not in that speed range.
Okay. It smooths out right when it would be a balance problem.
Yep.
Good to know.
All right, buddy.
You were talking to that guy earlier about super singles. So if I understood you right, the wide-based wear out the center when they're underinflated?
That's what we've been seeing on the Michelins.
In fact, we see wear on the second rib in on a lot of steer tires if they're underinflated. So it's really not a surprise that
the wide base would do it too. Yeah.
Yep. How come they all wear out the edges, like the outer rib?
Now both outside shoulders on a wide base tires because you're driving them faster than 63 miles an hour.
Even though you legally can, the tire just does not like it.
When you drive it too fast, the center of the tire stretches and gets taller. And then the two outside shoulders have to drag to keep up with it, and you lose both outside shoulders on a wide base tire.
Yeah, it doesn't happen on a dual.
No.
And they borrowed this technology, this design, the Super Single from Europe. And over there, through the entire continent, the speed limit set at,
60 miles an hour.
60 miles, just over 100 kilometers.
Right.
Yeah.
So how fast do you drive?
About 65.
Yep, that'll do it. And the guys that are going 75 have it even worse. Yep. Need to slow down.
All right. Well, I very much appreciate your time. You'll have a great night.
You too, buddy.
You too. Thanks for calling.
Okay. How much time we got left?
There it is. 6 minutes.
Let's get another call. Who we got?
This is 718.
Well, the other one was 716. This guy's right next door.
Right next to it, yeah.
Okay, I'm going to bet Syracuse, New York, then.
I'm going to go with Pennsylvania.
All right, you're going to go with Pennsylvania. All right. Hello?
Pennsylvania.
Hello.
How you doing?
Jamaica. Clarendon, Jamaica.
All right.
Clarendon,
yeah. Beautiful. What's buddy?
Hey, what's up? I got a simple, quick question for y'all. I got all my inside. I don't have super single. I got regular tires. All my inside tires, the inside is wearing out, and I don't know why.
Wheel bearings are loose.
Got to be wheel bearings.
Or
that's on the drive. That's on the drive.
Yes.
Okay.
If it was the outside of the steer.
Now, what kind of a truck is it?
It's a 587 Peterbilt.
What year?
2012.
Okay. And what kind of tires do you have on it?
What's that? Oh my gosh. I don't even remember the brand. Is that cheap brand though? It's not Bridgestone or Michelin.
Yokohama?
Yokohama, there you go. If truck was a super single and they converted
correct.
back over.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
that's okay.
All my inside of my drive tires, all four of the inside is cutting down real quick.
It's very possible, since it's a Peterbilt comes out with the pre-set non-adjustable bearings. So we got a 60% chance the bearings are tight. We got a 40% chance they're loose. But we got a 100% chance that you've got the lightweight drive axle housing that is flexing, and Yokohama tires really like that axle. So it could just be axle flex that's causing the cupping.
Okay. Cupping. Okay, that's what it is.
Yep. Now, if you look at the line sheet, if you've got a 404 axle housing, that's the one that flexes and cups. If you have the 405, it's the good axle housing that doesn't.
Now, it's a 2012. How many miles are on it?
Well, he's probably got 400,000.
465.
Yeah, 465,000.
Thinking it might be prudent then just to go ahead and make sure your bearings are tight.
Oh, yeah. Always worth checking the bearings because you can't fix the axle housing.
Right. You can't change the axle housing. The thing to do is adjust your bearings and see if it slows it down.
Now, are you owning the truck or is it a company truck?
It's a lease purchase. So it's kind of on me. Yeah.
Okay, it's on you. So, and if you got to pay for the tires, it might be worth the time just to have somebody make sure the bearings are tight. And you can go to our website and look up the shops. There's a shop locator at mdalignment.com, and you can find a shop in your area that knows how to do it right. Okay?
Okay. Thank you.
You have a great day, buddy. Enjoy Jamaica.
I'm in Texas.
Yeah, I know.
I'm from New York. That's Brooklyn.
Yep, got it.
Okay.
All right. You have a good day.
Enjoy your night.
Yeah, you too. Bye-bye.
Thanks for calling.
All right, we got one more. Can we get it in?
Yeah, we can. Yeah, 2 minutes.
2 minutes. Let's try. Where is he from?
580.
580. I don't know where 580 is.
Oklahoma.
All right. What can we do for you, buddy?
Hey, guys, I was listening to you talk about the air pressure on those super singles, and I didn't get what we're supposed to run in our duals. What's the maximum, minimum in the duals?
The duals run real well at about 100 pounds. Okay?
Okay, I'm running 110.
So that's fine. I got guys that are running 110 in order because they get a little better fuel economy at 110. But the tires run fine anywhere up in that range on duals. That's no problem.
Okay.
It's the steers where I have the problem because the dual tire, each tire is only carrying 4,000 pounds of weight. But your steer tires are carrying 6,000 pounds of weight. Per tire. And so I like to see more steers than what most people run.
If you're willing to run 110 in your drives, you should be willing to run 115 to 120 in your steer.
Well, I need to pump my steers up because I'm just running 110 in them also.
Well, whatever it says on the side of that steer tire, I want 10 extra pounds.
Right. Okay.
Okay?
That'll work, man.
No problem, buddy. You have yourself a great day and drive safe.
You bet. Appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Enjoy. Bye.
Well, folks, we have managed to get to another evening of conning people
into thinking that we're experts in the trucking industry.
into thinking that we're experts. All right. Well, you folks have a good week. We'll be back here next week. Right now, I'm going to go grab me a beer and sit out and watch the moon disappear, the blood red moon.
One every 18 years.
All right, folks. Bye.
18 years, apparently, the Cubs, the Mets, and the Blue Jays also get in the playoffs.
And I get lucky.
Thanks for joining us on Rolling Toe. If you like what you heard here, leave us a rating and review on iTunes or listen to our other shows at audioroad.letstruck.com. To get in touch with our tribe, call us at 855-800-FUEL. That's 855-800-3835. Thanks for joining us for the ride down the audio road.